The story begins with a farmer named Al who succeeds in promoting his farming skills to level 10, which for some reason increases his warrior abilities to 65,000 points. He sees adventurers fighting an S-rank dragon and attempts to distract it by throwing a carrot, only for the carrot to kill the dragon. In Mega's city, a criminal kidnaps Princess Foulwise, but with his new abilities Al saves her. Foulwise is surprised, revealing that the kidnapper had over 500 warrior points. Impressive, since normal humans typically only have 50, and yet Al defeated him. News reaches Megas of a monster army not seen since Demon Lord Macbeth was killed. Officer Cecil demands they destroy the army, but after luring Foulwise and her father the king away from Megas, he reveals he is actually Romeo Vanden, Macbeth's demon general, and intends to murder Foulwise and the king to pose as the king to rule Megas himself. Al suddenly intervenes, having worried the army would destroy Megas, leaving him nowhere to sell his vegetables. Romeo is defeated with just one punch from Al. As a reward, Foulwise offers Al a 33,000 square meter field to farm in exchange for him registering as an adventurer to serve the kingdom when needed. Al agrees, but realizes he was tricked when he visits the field and finds a wasteland unsuitable for farming. Foulwise takes Al to the guild to register with guild secretary Helen. Al accepts his first quest, so Helen gives him her old robe as beginner's equipment. In the forest, a super rare black dragon appears with such a terrifying aura, even Al is frozen with fear. Luckily, it ignores him completely. Helen suffers nightmares and memory lapses. Al reports the dragon to the guild, which by appraising its stats he identifies as Ouroboros the Malevolent. Helen abruptly remembers a buried memory of her brother Rai, who was killed by Ouroboros and was the original wearer of Al's new robe. Helen's adoptive mother is surprised Helen gave Al her robe, explaining that when she found Helen as a child all she had was amnesia and that robe. A young postman named Reeks delivers Al a letter from his mother. Al and Foulwise access reports from the day Helen was found and discover Ouroboros had destroyed Hanal village, which may have been Helen's birthplace. They also learn that Ouroboros was supposedly killed by his enemy dragon Mirage the Benevolent. Searching Hanal, Al encounters Rai as a ghost, though Foulwise is unable to see him. Rai explains that he has waited 15 years for someone who could see him. In flashback to when Hanal was destroyed, it is shown Ouroboros first terrified his victims to feed on their despair-filled souls. He then left Helen alive so she could spread the story, causing fear in other human villages, so that in 15 years when Ouroboros returned, a new feast of human despair would be ready. Rai became a ghost so he could watch Helen, and now warns Al that Ouroboros will want Helen and the city of Megas. Al worries as he is not strong enough, but Rai tells him that if Ouroboros feeds on despair, then opposing emotions should weaken him. Al and Foulwise rushes back to Megas to prepare for Ouroboros' return. Helen, driven by her returning memories of Rai's death, confronts Ouroboros in the forest to offer her life in exchange for Megas. Al finds Helen before she kills herself and punches Ouroboros so hard he actually hurts him. He passes Helen a message from Rai that his death was not her fault and she needs to forgive herself. Helen's soul becomes filled with hope, a deadly poison to Ouroboros, whose stats fall so far that Al's next punch knocks him unconscious. Al is shocked when Helen abruptly stabs him in the chest. Al is abruptly saved by Mirage, who reveals that Helen is possessed by Ouroboros and so grants Al his purification magic to heal his injury. Ouroboros is confident Al won't attack Helen, only for Al to hit her with a powerful blow, revealing Helen had communicated with him using her eyes. Ouroboros attempts to possess Al but finds his mind filled only with a pure desire to farm. With no negative thoughts to manipulate, Ouroboros is expelled and purified by Mirage. Al awakens in Megas, where Helen and Foulwise tells him that Mirage also disappeared. Helen reveals that she can now turn any part of her body into dragon limbs at will, which she intends to use to protect others and live happily in Rai's memory. Days later, Reeks delivers Al a letter from his father asking him to visit them in Lurugus, and Al is excited to go as Lurugus is famous for its farming and excellent fertilizer. Helen grants Al a holiday and takes over his active quests, revealing that with her dragon limbs she is now an F-rank adventurer. Foulwise asks to accompany him to meet his parents, but fearing bringing a girl to his parents would cause misunderstandings, Al quickly leaves alone. On his journey, Al is almost violated by a lust-crazed male orc, but the orc is killed just in time by a young woman. The girl named Ruri offers to escort Al to Lurugus. Reeks somehow finds them with another letter from Al's mother. Ruri is saddened by this, as her own family don't care about her at all. Ruri makes camp, revealing that her bag can hold numerous large items despite its small size, as it was inherited from her hero ancestor who defeated Demon Lord Macbeth. Ruri is training and has heard Lurugus is plagued by accidents and demon sightings. She hopes to one day live up to the hero's legacy. Reaching Lurugus, Ruri is saddened by their separation, so Al asks her to escort him home again in a week. Al visits his parents, his overly doting housewife mother Lucica and muscle-bound farmer father Gilles. Al merely mentions Ruri and Lucica goes wild, claiming that Al is too young for girls and marriage, comically punishing both Al and Jill's. Jill's is suspicious of Rory as there are definitely no accidents or demon sightings in Larugus. After purchasing his fertilizer, a sinister man lures Al to the forest with Rory, revealing he has manipulated them with powerful illusion magic and even lured Rory to Larugus in the first place with fake rumors of demons, as he knows she is the hero's descendant. The man identifies as Loki, a demon who took an interest in Al after he defeated Romeo and Ouroboros. Loki is eliminating anyone who could stop the next Demon King, which includes Rory because she may one day be the hero, Al for his abilities, and Helen who absorbed Ouroboros' power. Loki has his leech monsters begin eating Al, but he feeds them the fertilizer, which is also a pesticide, and the leeches die. Rory feels shame for letting her family belittle her into feeling worthless. Her sudden belief in herself unlocks the hero's power and Loki gets killed. Al passes out from exhaustion and Rory realizes that she has fallen in love with him. Al awakens hours later, but a new danger appears as he is late home and Natta is hunting for him. Fearing for Rory's life if they are found together, Al carries her back to Larugus just in time and decides to return to his farm. Natta is concerned that Al still insists on farming, and it is suggested he only became a farmer due to a death in his past. With Rory escorting him to Megas, they both worry demons may target them again and decide to keep each other safe, though their promise flusters Rory. Meanwhile, Falwise has a difficult conversation with her father. Al learns that monster attacks have halted all inter-kingdom trading, with many people now starving. The monsters are driven away by Prince Netellus of Antisburg Kingdom wielding the sacred sword Levitane. Later, Falwise abruptly informs Al that she is leaving Megas forever. With the monsters gone, trade returns to normal, but everyone learns Falwise left to marry Netellus. Al receives a letter from Natta, revealed as former leader of intelligence gathering group the Shadow Puppets, that Levitane is a fake and the monsters are being unwillingly controlled by a peaceful demon named Gazel, whose human lover is held hostage by Netellus. Al realizes that Netellus faked the monster attack so he could demand Falwise to marry him in exchange for saving Megas. Al, Helen and Rory hire Reeks to safely deliver them to Antisburg with his strangely efficient postman skills. Netellus leverages other kingdoms into giving him land, money and trade agreements in exchange for his protection from monsters, and intends to marry Falwise next morning. Al obtains disguises while Reeks, revealed as a peaceful demon and a shadow puppet, sets out to gather real monsters so they can expose Netellus as a fraud. In Antisburg, Netellus is angry to overhear Falwise crying at never seeing Al again. Al, Helen and Rory sneak into Antisburg intending to rescue Gazel's lover so that Gazel will be free. Unfortunately, Al exposes them immediately, so Helen and Rory fight the soldiers while Al rescues Gazel's lover and takes her to the church in time to crash the wedding. Falwise is overjoyed to see Al, who exposes Nettellus's fraud. Reeks invades with his own monster army. With his lover returned, Gazel refuses to control the monsters and Netellus cannot repel them with the fake Levitane. Furious, Netellus reveals that he sent another monster army to Megas, but Helen and Rory had anticipated this and had organized Megas' adventurers into a formidable army that defeats the monsters. With his crimes exposed, Nettellus's own soldiers arrest him. Afterwards, Falwise declares that she is in love with the shocked Al. The king happily accepts an unwilling Al as his future son-in-law, infuriating Rory. In his role as a shadow puppet, Reeks shows the king evidence that suggests Nettellus's plans were secretly masterminded by someone else. Falwise and Rory develop an intense rivalry for Al, who ends up caught in the middle. They are shocked when Al claims another woman already has his heart. Al is later seen placing his harvest at a shrine to someone called Ilvia. 15 years ago, a young orphan named Ilvia was forced to steal crops to survive. Farmers caught her by surprise and decided to sell her to the slave traders, but Al's parents paid for everything that she stole and adopted Ilvia. 2 years later, Natta and Jills decided to buy a house in the city and went house hunting while Al and Ilvia looked after the farm. Al's best friend Testa claimed a treasure was hidden in the forest and invites him to search together. Ilvia wants to tag along but is stopped by Al because the place might be dangerous for her. While searching, Testa told Al that Jills and Natta plan to move to the city because the farmers still mistreated Ilvia badly. Al discovered an abandoned city in a cave but suddenly triggered a trap that caused a volcano to erupt, blocking out the sun with ash and killing all the crops. Getting cut off from the city by a collapsed bridge, people were forced to ration their remaining food as supplies couldn't get to them, nor could Jills and Natta. Ilvia considered stealing again but instead secretly gave Al her food rations due to Al protecting her in the past. Ilvia eventually died of malnutrition and Al blamed himself after realizing that she had sacrificed herself to help him stay alive. In the present, Al is sad that he grows so much food Ilvia will never get to eat, but swears to continue farming so no one starves again. A girl named Linnea requests an adventurer to investigate something wrong with her town of Gal. Helen is uneasy with such a vague description, so Al volunteers, hoping to examine the Aspara vegetable grown in Gal. After arriving at Gal, Al notices citizens acting hypnotized. Linnea reveals that she possesses an anti-hypnosis necklace and also gives one to Al. Dal's Lord Ramal has Al attacked by soldiers who he easily defeats, but Linnea protects Ramal, who has her parents as hostages. Ramal himself is possessed by the demon Vritra and through a magic crystal has hypnotized all humans. Desiring Al's strength, Vritra had Linnea lure him there so he can implant the crystal in Al's body and hypnotize the whole world. The crystal is suddenly destroyed by Helen and Rory, thereby ending the hypnosis. Al reveals that they were his emergency backup kept secret from Linnea just in case she was also hypnotized. He helps Ramal expel Vritra from his body by stuffing his mouth with a Aspara, which Ramal is obsessed with, and defeats Vritra. Linnea lets Al keep the necklace as a memento and kisses him, declaring that she will marry him in the future even if he has already married another woman. Helen and Rory gets jealous and punishes Al for the kiss. Foulwise learns about Linnea and is upset Al is friends with yet another woman. AI is enraged to find his fields infested with bush gillers, which is a type of viney weed. The king visits Al to convince him to marry his daughter Foulwise without wasting time. This causes an argument between the girls that knocks Al unconscious. While asleep, Al has a brief vision of a winged woman. Later, Al purchases herbicide to battle the bush gillers but gets distracted by saving a little girl from kidnappers. Reeks identifies her as Yuria, daughter and heir of the Demon King. She reveals that her caretaker Volp had suddenly told her she was in danger and teleported her away from her father's castle, so she wants Al to escort her home across the ocean. Al agrees and puts Reeks in charge of killing the bush gillers. As ships are expensive, Al instead runs Yuria across the ocean surface. They are immediately found by a hypnotized Volp who attacks Yuria. Volp is abruptly knocked out by Lucica, who followed Al across the ocean after learning about Yuria from Reeks. At the castle, they find Yuria's father injured and unconscious. Lucica suddenly tries to kill Yuria, revealing that she is actually a disguised Ilvia, who is still alive and now an adult. Ilvia reveals that she was resurrected by the evil god who granted her overwhelming power. Ilvia also reveals Al's lover of nature skill, which makes him so strong, was actually a gift from evil god and that Al has already met the evil god. She then demands Al swear loyalty to her, threatening to kill his family and friends if he refuses. Time suddenly freezes and Al meets the winged woman again, who is revealed to be the good god who removes evil god's power from Al and replaces it with her own. With his new power, Al rescues Yuria, so Ilvia teleports away, promising to see Al soon. Foulwise leaves the palace while her sinister maid Albi acts as her body double. Al believes that it was the evil god who erupted the volcano when he was young and asks Testa about it, but Testa remembers nothing. Al invites Testa to the city, but he refuses privately, revealing that he cannot leave the village for a mysterious reason. Later, Al almost loses against an orc and realizes that losing evil god's lover of nature skill has cost him most of his power. Reeks delivers a letter from Lucica, who is in the middle of an important investigation. Al decides to continue living as a normal farmer and adventurer until he can learn more about the evil god. On the other hand, Ilvia looks forward to seeing Al again. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss out on another video. Until next time, farewell.